friends, welcome back to the Fielder Church podcast. We are continuing in our Sending series, where all month long we are talking about missions. And today I brought some of my friends to talk about why the college campus is the most strategic mission field. And then we're also going to give you practical ways to build relationships and create community around you. And so you guys are in for a treat. So without further ado, I am going to let you guys, or ladies, introduce yourselves and tell us about you.
Cool.
Okay, great.
I'm Nicole Sastre. I'm the college pastor here at Fielder Church. And yeah, I got saved in college, so I can understand kind of a perspective of maybe someone coming into college who doesn't know what biblical community looks like. So I love working with college students. They're my fave.
They're so great. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm Shayna Rios. I'm part of the Send residency here at Fielder, and I'm working specifically with college. I also just really gave my life to the Lord in college and learned what it looked like to be missional and pursue Jesus and have a relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
And so I'm very passionate about college students and reaching them because that's where my life was changed. So.
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Caitlin Northam. I go to UT Arlington. I'm studying international business. And I am a college student. Like, cool. I have so many friends that are college students. And so just like, and a lot of them aren't saved. So just reaching out to them, learning how to, and just cultivating those relationships. It's really important.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad y'all are here and going to share your insight and just experience and wisdom. So I'm excited to hear from you guys. So first question. So why are y'all choosing to be so invested in college students? I mean, this seems like you're passionate about it. Yeah. Why are you choosing to be invested in this age specifically? Yeah.
I believe college students are strategically placed in a season where they are perhaps no longer at home or are faced with an identity question of who am I? What am I going to believe?
Yeah.
Is it going to be what I was raised up in? And they are surrounded, specifically at UT Arlington.
Yeah.
College universities are diverse, but specifically UT Arlington, they're surrounded by so many beliefs and are inundated with so much information.
Yeah.
And so it is really a time where they are willing to ask questions, willing to listen. And after, 22 to 25, they are most likely going to be solidified. So it's strategic season.
Yeah.
And even bouncing off that, I think they are the most strategic age group.
Yeah.
Because after college, they're the next step politicians, the next step business people, the next step. They're going to be in the work world and in our secular world. And if they learn how to be missional in college, if they come to know the Lord and are changed by the Lord and fall in love with Jesus, that will leverage them for the rest of their life to live missionally in their workplace. And so I think, like, for me specifically, that was my story. I learned the mission of God in college and what does it mean to reach the people next to me, my peers. And that was a leveraging point to be able to be sent out into the world. So I think it is the most strategic age group. And it's also the age group where you're saying of, like, you're out of your home, you're trying to find like what you believe. Do I believe my parents' faith? Or is it my faith, or was it just my parents? Like, what does that look like? So they're asking those questions.
Yeah. Awesome. So what are some things that college students are wrestling with when it comes to living missionally, right? So this whole episode, we're talking about just how to reach the college campus, but I know that college students, you're wanting them to own this. Like, this is your community, your peers, like you, yes, are pastoring and shepherding them, but what are maybe some things they're wrestling with in living missionally and reaching out to their community around them? What do you hear?
That's a good question. Like, are you saying the college students that are claiming to be Christians or coming from a Christian background, or are you talking about the ones that we're trying to reach out to?
No, like the ones that are saying, hey, I'm a Christian, and like, right, the Great Commission. Like, we know where Jesus said before he ascended, like, go therefore and make disciples of all nations. But you're a Christian, a college student, and you're not doing that. You're not making disciples. You're not owning your campus. What I don't know, what are some excuses people are giving, or what are some things that are hard for people to like own like, this is my mission field.
I know judgment is a big one, especially like going to UT Arlington and it being so diverse. Like there are so many different faiths. There's people in all different kind of places in life, and just being sure that it's like they're not going to judge you, especially because like we're all new. Like we're all getting to know each other. Like nobody has been here for like 10 years, knows everybody and everything like that. Like, you know, maybe a couple people.
Yeah.
But so I think judgment is a big one because we're separated from what we've grown up knowing. Like it's a whole new phase in life.
Yeah.
And so we're really on our own. So if like all these people judge us for like having these beliefs, like who do we have to fall back on that's like right there next to us?
Yeah. Can definitely be crippling. Yeah. Yeah. If you value that.
I wonder too if time is what I hear mostly with my students.
Yeah.
Every student might be different, whether they are working themselves through school, whether they're not actually making the commitment to say, I'm going to leave my comfortable peers of believers who are with me. It's comfy. We all believe the same thing. But to go to someone else outside of my Bible study time, outside of work, it's so easy to compartmentalize. I have school. I got to be good. You know, I got to be studious, got to honor the Lord.
Right, you got to make grades. I mean,
yes.
you're there.
So that's realistic. But it can become even an idol to success, comfort.
Yeah.
And so those are the excuses or, you know, realistic barriers.
And even the social expectation of you're there in college to get a degree. And I think that was something I wrestled with in my college years. Like, I'm here to get a college degree, but I'm also trying to do the mission of God. And sometimes that means that I'm going to get a C in my class and not an A in my class.
Oh my gosh.
Because I'm sacrificing my Thursday night to lead a community group of my peers in my dorm. And that takes just time sacrifice and kind of wrestling with it's okay to yes, I need to steward my school, but I also need to be missional, and so it's a wrestle.
I'm interested to hear, because Sheena, you're not from DFW, right? And so I don't know if the college students maybe at UTA are more like maybe consumer mindset, like they think their role in the church is just to like learn more about God. I don't know, maybe it's different in the Northwest if you're a believer, fewer maybe believers on the college campus. I mean, I don't know. Do you see that? Like, they don't even see themselves as missionaries. I'm talking broadly about college students, but I know I didn't. In college I was like, I don't know, there, so yeah.
I think it, like, in my story, I mean, I went into college with my faith as private, and that was just comfortable, and the consumer mindset of I go to church to learn information. And I think that what changed for me was understanding the Great Commission, like, truly, and having people that were around me that also were living into the Great Commission. So if my friend is sharing the gospel with her roommates and talking to me about that, that started to make me question, like, wait, I want to do that. I want to share the gospel. I'm supposed to share the gospel? Oh, this is the Great Commission. This is what Jesus commands. Okay, and my friend's doing it. That means I can do it too. And so having people around me that I could look at, and they were college students. They were freshmen in college with me, and they were sharing the gospel and living missionally, is what started to change the way I lived my life on campus as a student. But if I didn't have those examples, if I had just been told the Great Commission and didn't have the examples, I don't think I would have ever done it or known how. So I don't know if that really answers the question.
No, definitely. Definitely. You saw the people around you living it out. Just and so, made you ask the questions about yourself and like your faith, and made you want to do it. So that's what community is all about, And so this may sound silly, but like, why is creating community and building relationships in college worth it? What do you say?
It's definitely worth it. I know, like, because like as we've been saying, like you enter college, like a lot of times you're like leaving your family behind, you're leaving like your childhood friends behind. Like I moved here from Maryland over the summer, so like I'm leaving like everything behind.
You're far, yeah.
So like finding community was like one of the biggest things I was looking for, specifically Christian community, because I wanted people who would help me grow and help me become a better person. And so I definitely think it's very important, because like when I have mental breakdowns, when I'm having anxiety, like these are some of the women I turn to. And like if I didn't have them in my life, I would be in a much darker place. And so having community and having people around you who will build you up and encourage you, while also holding you accountable for your actions is very important.
That's good. That is really good.
Oh. She's a freshman.
Oh my gosh.
Praise God.
It was not like that as a freshman in college.
Praise God.
Praise God.
Yes. For
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, I think maybe an excuse people might say is like personality, right? Like, I mean, you know, Nicole and Shayna seem like extroverts. You know, Kaylin, maybe you are too. I don't know you very well.
I'm an introvert.
Okay,
Yeah,
introvert.
girl,
Yeah. But like, how does your personality play into like building community? Like, is that a fear as an introvert that you have? I think I err more towards extrovert, but being extroverted, like, does your personality play into like building community, your need for community? I don't know.
It definitely does, because like you need some of everything, right?
That's good.
Like you can't have all extroverts where they're gonna be like
my gosh.
talking over each other. They're gonna be talking over each other. They're gonna just be spooling each other up.
Oh my gosh.
Like you need some introverts in there to help like keep things
Balance,
calm, just like balance it out. But you don't want a bunch of introverts, because then nobody's gonna talk.
Yeah.
So like everybody has a place in community.
That's good.
Like everybody belongs in community. And like sure, you might be a little awkward.
Yeah.
Like I am. But then you have people who are a little bit more smooth that make conversation a bit easier.
Yeah.
But without the little awkward moments, there would be nothing to laugh at.
Right.
So it's all
right.
it's
And right,
all
that's like
balance.
what happens in community. Like you get uncomfortable. Like community can be uncomfortable, you know, sometimes, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
It goes back to like the iron sharpening iron.
Yeah.
And then also even like where different parts of the body are needed. And so it's beautiful reflection.
That is so
introvert,
good.
extrovert.
I think my heart does break for an introvert that would buy the lie from Satan that they were not created for community, but they can initiate conversations. I don't believe that God would wire you in a way that would exclude you from his mission or would exclude you from commission. That's just not who he is. He wired you perfectly to be who you are, to be a different part of the body, and it's needed. So if I would say anything to someone who's bought a lie of, I'm not needed, they can move on without me, you are missing out and you are needed. It is not a just people pouring into you, but you have parts of your life to share, parts of your life to connect. And people want to know you and grow with you. And so it does break my heart when I do hear introverts say, I just can't. And I'm like, this is God's command to not live in isolation, to walk with other believers and pursue non-believers. And he would not disqualify you from that. That's not his heart.
Right. Because that's our aim, right? Is to share the gospel. That's why we're doing it. That's why we're in community to be uncomfortable, is to live on mission where we're at. And so to be uncomfortable is worth it because of our aim and goal that we have been given. And so
And to rely on Christ all the more. When I might be talking to someone and it might feel like pulling teeth, I can rely on the Spirit to help me love them where they're at. And it doesn't have to look like I thought. It doesn't have to be easy, but they're still worth pursuing. And being like, wow, this might be uncomfortable, but I'm comfortable in Christ is with me when he's called me to these moments. And so leaning on him.
that's good.
One of my actually shout out Lexi, but the girl that discipled me in college my freshman year, we were freshmen together, and she told me, she kept saying this to me, she was like, Shayna, there's no growth inside your comfort zone. Like, she would use that to she would say that to challenge me in stepping out and sharing the gospel with girls in my sorority. Because to me, I'm like, that's so hard. How do I even get into those conversations? And she was like, well, there's no growth inside of your comfort zone. And so that just kind of, I think when it comes to different personalities, the Lord uses the stepping out of your comfort zone to grow you. And that's where I just, the Lord changed me and conformed me to look more like him and grew me in the areas I was weak in.
That's good.
So
I think that's good. I want to go there. Like, how has like your choice to step into community, to build community, like how has that impacted you? You guys hinted at it at the beginning in your introduction, but like, right, we're trying to pitch to people here, like life happens in community. You're sharpened in community. You're, I don't know, held accountable, right? Can like live on mission in community. And so how has that impacted your lives in community? You're like, so much. Oh my
How
gosh.
do I concise this?
how do I sum this up?
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be a believer if it wasn't for other believers pursuing me.
Yeah.
And it was a slow process. I was comfortable in my sin. I wasn't sure if I was ready to surrender to Jesus, but when I became more vulnerable, man, vulnerability breeded more vulnerability. And so I saw, wow, my Christian friends aren't perfect either.
Yeah.
I saw them struggle with sin.
Yeah.
And so as I walked deeper into community and shared my heart, and they would faithfully share the gospel with me again to say, man, running back to your sin, how's that working out for you?
Right?
Not well. But the ability to be fully myself and be fully loved is what showed me the gospel. They weren't perfect, but they were able to just share it over and over again to my stubborn heart. And I found that community was better than isolating myself, than finding God in other areas that wasn't fulfilling or satisfying me. And I would not have known that if they didn't gently and lovingly rebuke me and say, life is better here.
Yeah.
And so from sophomore Nicole to 30 years old Nicole, community has gotten sweeter to walk with people because I still sin, believe it or not. And so as a believer, you will still struggle. And to think that I am above community is pride. And
Yeah, I think for me, as you were talking about, it reminded me what attracted me to my Christian community my freshman year of college was the fact that these were Christians that weren't pretending to have it all together, but rather they were very open about their sin, of this is what I've struggled with. And one woman that ended up mentoring me, she opened up about just a group of us about sexual sin she'd struggle with. And I was dealing with the same thing in my life. And I think that was the first time I'd heard someone talk about that openly as a woman. And that was just so like, whoa, that was surprising and shocking to me. Like, and I would argue that like that community really visibly showed me the gospel because here were people that were coming together saying we are broken and we are sinful and we are no better than the person that doesn't know Jesus next to us. But we have experienced the grace of God in our sin struggles, and we can carry each other's burdens, and we can lead out in our weaknesses, so that Christ is glorified through us. And so I think that's what drew me in. And I was living a double life of partying, sorority life, drinking, and then at the same time going to church and going to my community group. And I resonated. And so I think that dichotomy ended up, I slowly just started opening up about what I was actually struggling with because these people were so open. So vulnerability, like what you said, is what drew me to community, but then ultimately drew me to fall more in love with the gospel and the fact that Jesus says, come as you are. Come as you are, who broken and weary, and I'm near to you, and I died for that and for your sin. So I think that's what it drew me. So I fell in love with the Lord because of just how community lived their life, how the people lived their life. That's good.
That's good.
So I'm a military kid. Moved around all sorts of places, stuff like that. But because like as a child, like things were always changing. I kind of latched onto my family. But I get to college, I'm living in a dorm, like my family's not nearby. So like when I got here, I was just trying to latch on to like whatever I could, like just trying to find community anywhere. Would have preferred Christian community, but any community in general, just to like have some sort of foundation, like right there in person. And so like I tried a couple like Christian groups, stuff like that, trying to find my fit. I've joined some other like organizations and stuff too, just trying to figure out where I belong.
Right.
And then I found Fielder. And it was like, I remember it was my first Sunday there. I got introduced to Pastor Larry Dan, who introduced me to Nicole, who introduced me to Shayna.
Yay. Best friends forever.
And then I got introduced to a bunch of other people. And I just remember like right off the bat, like Shayna and I had like a really deep talk, really open, really vulnerable talk. In the car on the way to go get lunch together. My first time meeting her, I just joined her in the car. I was like,
awesome.
Okay, I hope you don't kidnap me or anything. But like, here we are.
Wow.
But I'm still here, so I guess not. But,
you're on our podcast, so hey, you're sticking around. I know. I love it.
Just like seeing Shayna have that vulnerability. Because like I wasn't used to being vulnerable with people like outside of my family, really. And so there's the seeing like the vulnerability, like they were talking about, that helps reap more vulnerability.
Definitely.
But then also just like seeing women closer to my age fully pursuing the Lord without being kind of annoying about it. Like sorry, but not legalistic.
I mean, they're living it out. Like their
but like
actions
you can
are showing.
I can see how much Nicole and Shayna love God and love Jesus and want to pursue after him. And I can see that. And so, and like I've always seen like kind of older women who kind of live that way. And so I've always felt like, oh, I'm too young. And so just seeing women closer to my age who are like pursuing the Lord and like they don't have it all together. And like they let me know. They're like, I don't have it all together.
I'm a
but
mess.
I'm a mess as well. So it makes me feel a little better because I'm a mess. So like, but like just seeing them love God and chase after God and like kind of like setting the example. It was really impactful for me because like I never seen that in like young women before. So
that is so impactful. I love you said it pushed you closer to the Lord. Like I think you hinted at it to Caitlin, and same with Shayna. Just like it showed you Jesus. Like it showed you like how much he cared for you, and it made you want to draw near to him. I mean, that should be the point of community. Like vulnerable community like should make you want to love Jesus and pursue Jesus more. So I love that you guys are just leading by example in that. Okay, so I want to shift just a little bit and talk about like how does a student go from seeing college as just an education to seeing it as a mission field? And so I want to talk through maybe some like, how does this happen? Like, how do you take somebody who like is coming to college, Christian, to, hey, everything I do, I see it as an opportunity to share the gospel, reach people. Like, how do you take somebody on that journey? Or what does that look like for y'all as you're taking college students on that journey? Or Caitlin, what does it look like for you, you know? Hey, I don't know. And if you stick around with them long enough, you're sharing the gospel with everybody, you know? So, I know. So, but really, what does that look like for you to take a college student on that journey? So,
there was...
sorry. Go for it.
I love it. I want you to tell me.
Both share. Yeah, Caitlin, go.
So I definitely like in high school, like I was a Christian, like my faith was mine, stuff like that. But I wasn't really like going out and like trying to minister to people.
Yeah.
It was a little harder in my high school because I went to a Christian school, but and then like coming to UTA initially, like that was not my goal in mind. Like, so, but I just like falling more in love with Jesus and knowing, just like coming to the realization, like how much peace and forgiveness he gives me. Like, I struggle with anxiety, and just the amount of peace he gives me that is so unexplainable. Like, I see other people around me struggling with that, and it's like, I have the solution. Why, like, if I was struggling with a problem and somebody next to me had the solution, why wouldn't I want them to tell me about it?
Yeah, right.
So it's becoming less of like just me and Jesus and more of like, hey, let me introduce you to my friend Jesus.
That's good.
Kind of thing. And just like I can see you're hurting and like I've hurt too. Sometimes I still hurt, but this is what I use that helps me. Let me introduce you.
Yeah.
And so that's just
awesome.
kind of how it's been working
just changing
for me.
your perspective. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's good.
And perspective
What would
is
y'all
so
say?
important. There's an Polish anthropologist who came to the Pacific Northwest to do a study on Americans and how we interacted. And they chose some farmers from the Pacific Northwest. Shout out.
There's a lot of
And
things.
and just she watched them, and social studies is not so cool. We want to do that. But watch how they interacted just with their scenery. You know, Pacific Northwest is beautiful. There's mountains. And then watch how they interacted with their workers. So maybe immigrant workers on the farm. And then watch how they interacted with their friends and family. And so she categorized that Americans as a whole interact with things as maybe scenery. You pass it by, you don't notice, you don't interact. Machinery, you're interacting with this as a means to an end to obtain something. And then as people, relationships, or in our case, ministry. Yeah. And so it's kind of heartbreaking that we might, as believers, and we all do it, interact with the barista, Kroger cashier as machinery, or walk past dozens of college students on the way to class and not think about who they are, because they're just blurry faces sometimes when you're late to class. We all do it. But what would it look like to change the perspective of, man, this barista on the other side of me is a college student paying her way through school who could be hurting, who is made in the image of God and still needs the gospel. So moving, and Caitlin is obviously on the process of that, like moving college students to see everyone as people and as ministry, not as scenery or machinery. I think really is something that helps them. And prayer. Right. We talk about it all the time. Right. I believe that the Spirit will soften students' heart as they are burdened by the lost on campus. So physically, prayer walking UTA is having that scenery. Man, this person is walking past me. I don't know their name. They look really stressed. God, would you help them as they walk into the chem lab? I think that is what can soften your heart, is prayer towards the lost.
That's really good. Yeah. I think what are some other ways that have helped you see people around you as people? I love that you've given these examples, like barista, like, what are some things that, how do you see people? I guess, I'm asking your experience, like, how do you see people? What do you do when you see people? What is that like in your own lives?
That's good. Yeah, I mean, how I see people has changed throughout the years. Like, beginning of college when my faith was pretty private, and it was me and the Lord, and I didn't think about sharing it with others. I saw people as scenery and machinery, and I think even today I struggle with seeing people as scenery or machinery, a means to an end. So I think it's honestly constantly a daily like just abiding with Jesus and asking the Lord to break my heart for what breaks his. And if he's breaking my heart, and I've prayed the prayer throughout the years of, Lord, help me see people the way you see them. And when I pray that prayer, and sometimes I don't even pray that prayer, and he just pops in my head, hey, that guy you would never go and talk to, he looks different than you, he talks different than you, but he's my son, so don't you dare not go talk to him. And that happened to me a couple months ago, and I think the Lord has just been faithful to, when you step into, hey Lord, here I am, send me, like, here I am, I want to be part of your Great Commission. He's going to slowly, like, work in your heart and open your eyes, and that was my experience. It was a slow process, like, and even stepping out and being intentional with wanting to share the gospel with people, and like prayer walking, and then as I'm prayer walking, having the intention to go share the gospel helped me start to look at people as ministry and as people and children of God that need the gospel, because there's a reality of heaven and hell. And if we aren't sharing, who's going to share, you know?
Right.
So I think it was a lot of things, but
that's really good. Okay, can you share some like principles or tips that have helped you connect with people? Right, so you see people, but how do you connect with them then? Right, that's the next step. You got to see them, and then you've got to connect, build relationships, find community, reach out to them. What are some like tips, practical tips that you might have for people listening and watching? Who wants to go first? You're all eager to share. Okay.
One thing my family actually does is if we go to particularly like sit down restaurants, we'll ask our waiter, is there anything we could pray for you?
Yeah.
And like sometimes they'll say, you know, the general like good health, like good grades. But then there have been some times where we have gotten people's whole life stories.
Wow.
And we have gotten to like pray over them. And there have been a couple times when they've prayed with us.
Yeah. Wow.
So like that's one thing that I try to even do now. It's a little bit more nerve-wracking because I'm not with my family.
Yeah, right.
But just like is there anything I could pray for you? Because you never know, that person could be having the absolute worst day, week, month, year of their life. But you just saying that and like taking the time to stop and be like, okay, how are you doing? Like they don't even have to believe the same thing you do,
right?
But just like, because it has power to you, and it shows that you care, and people don't care what you know until they know that you care. So that's like one way to connect with people. And then another way that I just to like get conversation going, like I'll see like someone with a sweatshirt and I'll be like, oh, your sweatshirt's really cool. I get that reference. Like, let's talk about it.
Cool. That's so good. I love
like,
that.
Just like something totally surface level.
Yeah.
Like, your earrings are so pretty. Where did you get them? Like, just...
I love that. You're like initiating the relationship. Like you have to take a step towards somebody.
Yes.
That's what Jesus did, right? Like he stepped towards us. I love that. That's great. Okay, what else would you say? Like tips, principles, helping to connect with people?
I like that. Oh, I understand that reference. It's something that I was taught when I was in a sorority. So like secular world was teaching me something I got to use for Jesus. But they called it a golden nugget. Like when a girl's coming to recruitment and she has something on that you know where it's from, or you know, you might have stalked her on Instagram, so you have the upper like she played soccer in high school, you played soccer in high school. You're gonna dive into okay, what position did you play? Do you have a favorite team? And you're gonna relate. It really just draws people's defenses down, strangers especially. I think that I can buy a lie. This person doesn't want me to talk to them. 9 times out of 10, people are just lonely. They do need friends. And so someone could blow me off. That's awesome. Scripture tells me to dust my sandals and keep moving. But in an individualistic society as America, it can be easy to buy a lie that people are in a hurry, they don't have time. But if I can make the time to pursue them and try to relate to them and using like a look, I know we're post-pandemic. So a touch, you can... Reading body language is a skill and it takes practice. But when you do approach someone, seeing how they receive you. But also, I know this is going to rifle feathers. Names are hard. Names are hard to remember. but oh my gosh, you know the lyrics to your favorite song. So I need you to care about this person as much as you care about Taylor Swift and learn their names. I'm so sorry. Learn their names. It is so important because when you see them again, even if you met them once, and being able to be like, Carol, are you watching the World Cup? Like, what's going on? Like, that just, yes, it's so important. And I know it can be a struggle for people to memorize names, but when you have that golden nugget, it helps you. That is Stacy. She's from Houston because she's a big Strohs fan.
Right.
Boom. Go to her. So starting those conversations, everybody needs a friend.
Yeah. That's really good. Yeah. What about you, Shanna?
I think, finding the thing that you can, the intro thing that you can relate on. But then for me, I think one thing that's really just helped me with connecting with people is asking them questions about themselves, because I feel like people just want to be known, and our, you know, the busy individualist culture that we live in, it can be, oh, how are you? Good. Okay, bye. Like, have a good day. It's not being known. And so one thing that I try to do is just ask people a lot of questions about themselves and really listen and really try to get to know them. And people feel like, oh, wow, you want to know? I'm like, yes, of course I want to know. And everyone has a story.
Right.
And getting to learn someone's story is just, it opens my eyes. It teaches me something. But it also gives me the ability to speak life into their life when it comes to the gospel. So I think in the beginning, when I first meet someone, just asking them questions, like fun questions, surface level questions. And the missional living wheel is something I kind of just naturally go, where it's, you know, surface level intro conversation, and then it goes into spiritual conversation. So as you get to know someone, they'll naturally, hopefully, get into spiritual conversation with you about what they believe, what their faith's like, if they believe in a God, if they don't believe in a God, and then in that, being able to kind of say, oh, can I tell you what I think? So that's kind of, that can be the first time you meet someone. That can be years down the road of knowing someone. So that can take a long time. But I think in the beginning, just asking questions. Asking questions is the biggest thing, I'd say.
I love that tool too, because with the missional living wheel, it's not this, hi, nice to meet you. Do you believe in a God? Like,
like what
that could be intimidating. But you've
Yeah.
asked about their family. You've asked about where they've gone to school. You've getting to know them. That when you do go to the spiritual realm, it is not uncomfortable. It is, this person wants to know me. And that if faith is an intimate part of who we are, I think some people are just bought a lie. People don't want to talk about God. They do. Faith is important. So when you take time to get to know them and genuinely have interest for them, it's not weird. But the enemy would love for us to believe it is.
And they know that you care before you talk to them about your faith. Like, that's it.
Hey, if the Lord gives you an open door too, they'll immediately take it. But if you get the opportunity to build relationships, it's worth it. If it takes 2 weeks to the gospel, if it takes 2 days,
really good.
2 minutes. But I love that tool.
No, that's really good. I know we've hinted or said a few examples in our time together, but is there anything else where you have seen this played out in somebody's life or your life, where you have seen somebody go from consumer Christian to seeing their college campus as a mission field, to maybe even taking it a step further and choosing to go to the nations and live and find community there? Like, does anybody come to mind where you have kind of seen this play out and how the Lord has kind of sanctified them in this journey? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, you're so good.
I know. Yeah.
There's, in my college years, there were a handful of girls I got to walk with that had the same story as me, where we grew up in the faith. We knew Jesus, and we said we loved him, but we just weren't living for him. And it was everything plus Jesus on the side. So it was like, joining a sorority. Yeah. Plus, Jesus, I'm a Christian. I have good morals. But then, I'm going to go party. Yeah, but I love Jesus. Good morals, So, there are a handful of people that come to mind of, a lot of girls I walked with had the similar story of me of growing up with cultural Christianity being their story, and then in college getting to just do life with them, honestly, and invite them into reading the Word with me, and and through that, them, by the grace of God, the Holy Spirit working in their life, them being awakened to the Great Commission, and what that actually means. It's not just words on paper, but it's their mission.
For sure.
And so there a lot of there are a lot of names that come to mind of people that now, freshman year, we're learning what it looked like to abide and have a relationship with Jesus. And then the next year, they're leading their own community groups in their dorms because they're like, I'm going to do this. Or starting their own D groups or grow groups with their non-believer friends.
Was that because somebody who was leading them said to them you can do this?
Yes.
Or
I think it was me telling them, hey, this is the Great Commission. This is Jesus' command. What would it look like for you to prayer walk as you walk to class, to break your heart, for the Lord to break your heart for the people around you? And it's baby steps, giving them baby steps. And then, okay, now what does it look like for you to identify 3 people in your life that you can share the gospel with? I'm going to train you on how to share the gospel. But also the Holy Spirit gives you the words when you don't know what to say. And so it's coming alongside discipling people. And with those girls in particular, different stories with each girl, but overall, it was doing life with them and showing them how I shared the gospel and how I lived missionally, and then they just were like, oh, I can do this too. It's not that hard. It's making friends. Literally, it's making friends. Being missional is doing what we already do, just talking about Jesus in that. It's not that. We complicate it.
That's good. We do.
But it's literally just making friends.
Yeah.
So
that's really good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah. We had a student, she's a junior now. I'm going to shout her out. Kenzie. Does go to Dallas Baptist University. It is a school where maybe some people do go who believe in Jesus Christ, but there are some who maybe don't, or it could be that cultural Christianity. You are going to chapel 3 times a week. A part of your scholarship is to serve in a church. And so it can become very mundane or desensitized to the gospel. And so prayer walking and being discipled, Kenzie's heart broke for, man, these girls aren't in a habit of confessing their sin or celebrating victory from sin. So her heart broke, and so this year she just said, man, I'm going to open up my small apartment on campus and invite freshman girls and start this culture now where I can model to them and walk with them on what it looks like to read scripture, but let scripture transform your heart and do life with them. If I'm going to go to Target, I'm not going alone. It's going to take us 2 hours. But why would you go alone? You can do life. In the car, so much comes up. Vulnerable conversations, am I right? Just doing life. But now she's seen revival on campus. 2 girls from her community group have fully surrendered their life to Christ because they were never discipled before. And someone took the time to invest in them and open up their home, not just on a Thursday night, but said, let's hang out. Let's watch class together. Let's get coffee. You have to eat, me too. And now she's saying, man, I want to do this with my summer. So she's doing an opportunity through the IMB called Gen Send, where for 8 weeks she'll be in San Diego doing the same in a different context, but living on mission. And I believe her heart maybe wouldn't have said yes to that. She didn't know how to learn how to do it here first. So that's just one example of how I've seen it.
That's really good. Is there anything else that you want to encourage people with as they are afraid of community or step in community or you want to lead people with before we cut off today?
What do you have to lose? I could say it's worth it all day, but if you don't experience it for yourself, you can listen to a podcast, but what do you have to lose? It could be pride, it could be embarrassment, it could be all these things that the enemy would stack against you, but if God's word is true, and hell is real, and when you believe in the gospel, this is for you too.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, I would say fall in love with Jesus. Like, you talk about the things you love. You talk about, Taylor Swift. You talk about corgis.
So cute.
You talk about the things you love naturally as
Yeah.
humans.
That's good.
And so I would say, like, if I could say anything, like, invest your life falling in love with Jesus and do things that will put you in places where you're going to need to depend on. We already need to depend on Jesus.
Right.
But it's going to open your eyes to the fact that you need to depend on Jesus.
It's good.
And out of, falling in love with something, you're going to share that. It's not going to be this forced mechanical robotic thing.
Yeah.
But you've experienced the relation, I've experienced the love of Christ and the relationship with Jesus, and I'm walking with Him. And if I'm doing that daily, I'm just gonna share what I love because He's my Savior and He's my best friend. And He died for me. Who can what more could I ask for? So, I think fall in love with Jesus and think about. As you're falling in love with Him, sharing about Him. Like, I love this. I love the Lord. I love God. Through that, I can share what I love.
Yeah.
That's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I would say, I know at the beginning of the year, I was like, so like, I need to find Christian community. And it has to be the exact right fit. Like, I was like, letting myself become overwhelmed by it. And so I would say, like, one, definitely pray about it.
Yeah.
Like, anytime you're going into like a new community setting, be like, okay, God, if you want me here, make it obvious. If not, please just make it obvious. Because like, I don't do subtlety.
Yeah.
So I was like, just pray about it. Be like, God, if this is where you need me to be, let me know. And so I wasn't doing that for the first like month or so of school. So I got overwhelmed by trying to fit into all these like Christian organizations on campus, but it didn't like really feel like the right fit. But I knew there were worse things I could be doing. So I was like, so I just like, I let myself become overwhelmed by it. So I would say like, if it's not the right fit, it's not the right fit. And God might have like something else out there for you that like is the right fit, where you just, you click with the people there and like you feel at home. Because that's what community is supposed to be. It's supposed to be you feeling at home with other individuals. So I would definitely say like don't like the Baptist student ministry. Great ministry, but like just because you were raised Baptist doesn't mean you have to go and be part of the BSM or like stuff like that. Like don't be like, I have to like, it has to be in this little box, because like God might be like, it's not gonna be like that, it's gonna be like this. So
That's good. No, definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I know, and sharing your experiences and being vulnerable. I'm so grateful for everything that you shared. But I hope that you will join us next week as we continue our series talking about local missions. And we're going to hear from people who are ministering to refugees or living on mission in our city and reaching the nations. Everything that they said that involved a link, like the Missional Living Wheel, our college ministry, I'll link all of that in the show notes below. So make sure you check that out. But ultimately, I hope you join us again next week for another episode. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's show. Let us know if you have any questions or feedback from today's episode by going to fielder.org/podcast. Or if you're watching on YouTube, just leave a comment below. If you enjoyed today's podcast, make sure to leave a rating and review. That helps this message reach more people in our community, because it's our hope this podcast will equip you and many others to live as a follower of Christ outside the walls of the church.